Are you in immigration court? Or perhaps you're concerned that your record will land you in deportation proceedings? Well, this video is for you. My name is Jorge Molina. I am an immigration attorney based in Dallas-Fort Worth and serving clients worldwide. Today, we're going to be talking about what is a conviction for immigration purposes. Often, the reason that a person ends up in immigration court is because they did something that got them in trouble with the law. And because of that conviction, they're subject to deportation. Okay, so in those cases, it is fundamental to understand whether what you did or what you have in your record is actually a conviction for immigration purposes. And there's two things that qualify for as a conviction under the immigration laws. First is whether there is a formal adjudication of guilt, meaning whether a judge or a jury found someone guilty. So if you went to trial and it was just a judge or the judge deciding whether you're guilty or not, they found you guilty, that's a conviction. Or if you have a jury, they decide you're guilty and you have that final conviction, that is a conviction. However, in some other circumstances, something that is less than that, right? So a formal adjudication of guilt can be considered a conviction for immigration purposes, but two elements must be met. So first, there must be some form of judicial process in which someone either pleads no contest or pleads guilty, and there's an imposition of a penalty or punishment, a fine, something like that. So the first part is a judicial process, right? So this means that the process was completed before a tribunal, a court, or a judge, and it's part of the record. The second part is the imposition of a punishment, right? So it could be probation, could be, sentenced to jail time. It could be a fine, community service, a series of things, right? So if you meet those two parameters, right? So you're either pleaded guilty or someone found you guilty and there was some form of punishment, even if it's not called a conviction, a sentence, even if they tell you it's not really a conviction for state purposes, it would very likely still be a conviction for immigration purposes. So let me give you a few examples. So in the state of Texas, we have something called deferred adjudication. How deferred adjudication works is that first, you admit your wrongdoing or you plead no contest to the charges. Okay, and after you do that, the court says, okay, well, we have your guilty plea right here, but instead of sentencing you formally, we're going to allow you to complete probation for a given amount of time. So the problem with that for immigration purposes is that you're already pleading guilty or no contest. You're doing it before the court, so it's a judicial process. And then there's some form of punishment or imposition, whether it's doing community service, taking classes, paying a fine, doing one day in jail, whatever it is. If it's imposed as a punishment for your actions, it would fit the definition of a conviction. Okay, so that's an example of something that some people might think that it's not a conviction when it is. Here's some things that are not convictions, right? So if you are fortunate enough that you are allowed into a pre-trial diversion program, that means that you're not really going to trial or talking to a judge before you enter this program. You're doing this directly with the prosecutor's office or some other office within the legal system, other than a judge or the court. So if you do that, even if they impose some punishment classes or something like that, there's no formal judicial process where enough findings of guilt were made to make it fit the definition of a conviction for immigration purposes. Okay, some other things. So let's say you take classes and for against drunk driving, and you take some other classes and you do community service, and because you did all these things, your charges are actually dismissed and you don't really plead guilty or play no contest. So in those cases, it is not a conviction. However, just note that every state is different. The rules in one state usually change from another, and many states have tried to reduce the immigration consequences by coming up with really very creative ways of handling cases. So it really does depend on the state, the court, the county, even the prosecutor that you're facing. So if you're in that situation, or you're afraid that past conduct could lead to deportation proceedings or other immigration consequences, contact a experienced and qualified immigration attorney to help you figure it out. If you're already in immigration proceedings and you have some record, you should, if you haven't already, talk to an experienced immigration attorney. Now, folks, if you like these videos, please hit like, share, subscribe to our channel, drop a comment. We always appreciate those. You can always reach us by phone or email, and we're always happy to answer your questions and even meet you in a consultation. So if you have any other questions or concerns or anything, send us an email, call us. Again, my name is Jorge Molina. Thank you for watching.